Something's going on here. Do I not have lips? Like,
You
is it
did miss.
impossible?
I don't know why. Yeah, you missed it. You
Yeah,
missed whatever that
that's what I
is. I'm
thought.
not sure what that was, but you did miss it.
It's
Oh,
driving me nuts. All right. I think
hold
this is
up.
better.
I gotta.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. I have to
Hello,
make sure that I
hello.
have. Hey,
Hello,
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Cheryl, she's our ride or die.
How you doing? How we doing today?
Hold on, I'm just setting some settings here.
It's
Setting
a
some
new
settings.
day and a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day and a fucked up day. Just kidding. Sorry. Wait, I didn't even push record yet for John. Can we do that now?
Well, yeah, because I haven't either. I was just setting some stuff out.
Oh,
So
sorry.
here, let's do that. 3, 2, 1, press record.
All right, all right, all right.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, Miss Sharon. Wow, we've got an audience today already. That's wonderful, marvelous. My lips look weird. I'm sorry. I'm trying a new lip gloss and red is just weird. Look, it makes me look like my mouth is square. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that's what it is, right?
And
It's
like
like I
it
got.
tends to happen. That tends to happen with, yes, you're right. I do. Why does it do that? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Probably because I went near, and now I have like two, like weird. All right. Anyway, thank you, Cheryl. That's very sweet. I straightened my hair today because change is good.
Because change is good.
This last weekend was the first weekend in 3 years that I wasn't thinking, how am I going to get this money, or feeling guilty for doing something like with my family and not working. Because I do stuff, but then I just feel like a horrible asshole when I do it because I think I've got so much to do. I should be looking for money. I should be writing this email. I should be blah, 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 blah. So it was kind of freeing in that way that I didn't have to fret over it this time. That was nice. That was a good change.
Hmm.
It was a delight. I am worried about other stuff, but like that constant panic was aging me, I think. Maybe now I can go back to being young and fantastic like I was before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I started this event, I was young. Now I'm old, seems like. I was like
It's a,
40.
yeah.
How old was I? 44.
You were 44. Aw.
I was early 40s. Now, no, I'm not. I'm late 40s, which is hugely older, in my opinion.
Hugely older. All right.
Of course, you aren't even in your 40s anymore. So, what do we do
I
about you?
know. I'm like, I've decided to like shift on the decades and whatnot.
I
And
know.
yeah.
Just leave me behind like you always do. Just
Oh my
kidding.
God.
You turned 40 before me, too. Were you already
Oh my
40?
God. Oh,
Wait, were you already
scary.
40 when we met? You
No. Oh
were
my God. I
barely
was.
40.
I so
Barely.
was.
Yeah. You turned 40 when the year we met, and then you turned 42
Right.
1 or 2 weeks. Anyway, this is not important. Hello.
Yes.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everybody. Hello,
Welcome
everybody.
to
Thank
She
you so much.
Podcasts.
Yes. So let's go ahead. Have you just, let me record what I was going to record first. We're going to pause for a moment and then we're going to switch into this. So just a little bit. Oh, 60s. Okay. So we're going to record. I'm going to record a little intro, everybody, just to give you behind the scenes. We're just still considering what's going to go in this actual episode when it goes out in the feeds on Friday.
It's a bonus track.
It's a bonus episode. We already recorded our episode 400, but we did not release it. So this is prior to 400, but it's not, doesn't have a number. So we are going to, this is a special little something that's going to go on the feed. And then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled numbered episodes.
I thought we were going to do 399.5.
We could do 399.5, but that's very annoying to write everywhere. I mean, all I'm saying is,
how about we just call it like 1,000 and then go back to 400? Or can we do something like that?
Super confused. No, we could just We could just call it bonus.
You know, sometimes at Christmas we do a very special episode. Maybe we could do that, like a very special episode, like when sitcoms would do it in the 80s, that they had like a, you know, like an eating disorder episode, or like
Yes, when they do all the
or
stuff
like a
like that. But
Christmas
we've
like
had
homeless episode or something.
we've had the bonus stuff. We have had the bonus stuff. We used to do our Q&As. That was another tactic that we did not talk about
Yes, you're
in
right.
our 400th. We used to put our Q&As in the thing so that we could
Yeah.
release some
I
of
like
that stuff.
400.1, but it would really be 399.9.
Yeah, because it's the other.
Right.
Yeah, it's prior to the 400 because we can't. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, let me record this thing really quickly and then we can move. And this is may or may not be in the episode. So let me just read this.
Okay.
And John, John,
This is for you, John.
this is for
This
you.
one's
John.
for you, buddy.
This is for you, buddy.
And action.
You have to stop talking. I'm trying to give him like space.
I'm sorry,
Dude. Okay. Like, well, you gotta give him like a pause before I start speaking so he could cut. Holy crap. Okay, here we go. Don't say anything. No one say anything. Let's see how, Jess, count to 5 slowly in your head, like in your own head. Do not speak. Okay. And count in your head slowly. This is a special episode of She Podcasts. What you will hear next is a live stream that Jess held on Friday, May 19th, sharing with our community the events that led up to our cancellation of the She Podcast Live conference and pivot to a virtual event. Okay, now you can speak.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Now you can speak. Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much.
Look at who's saying shh, shh. I know, it's like they're like quiet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's that. What do we talk about now?
This is the end
aftermath.
of that. So this is supposed to be the end of that recording?
Yes, this would be like
Okay.
after the recording. We hear you
Okay.
talk. Blah
Okay.
blah whatever.
Okay. So yeah, so that recording was my way of trying to explain in my own words what led up to making the decision not to have it in person this summer, and to pivot to virtual, which I would not have probably done had I not had the offer from Chris Kremitzos to do another version of a live event before Podfest. He just happens to have a couple days, you know, like when he signs the contract for that hotel, he has all their meeting space. And if you look at the floor plan, it's a significant amount of space. So he was kind enough to give us a room or two, and also said he would honor the tickets that were purchased for She Podcast Live at Podfest, which I think is an amazing gesture. So if you get a chance, reach out to him and say thank you, because it's extremely generous. So yeah. Hi, Hillary. Nice to see you. So what should we talk about now that you've heard that, you know, sort of like what happened after that? Or so after that video and after the announcement, I've had some interesting conversations with people that, you know, sort of have made me feel like this is less of a setback and more of like an eye opener for hopefully the members of the industry that haven't prioritized these types of events in the past. Oh, Friday, that was on Thursday when I recorded that. And then Friday, Emriel Morgan announced that she was not able to do the International Women's Podcast Festival this year for a similar reason, that there was not enough ticket or industry support. So yeah, so between those two things, I'm hoping that it will be a bit of a wake-up call for larger industry. Then again, as I said, like, they don't pay attention necessarily to what we're doing. They don't budget for it. So maybe that will continue. But I will say that in the days since I made this decision, I have I don't want to say been awoken and realize, I've been clued into the fact that all along, I think that I've been looking for support in the wrong place. Um, because my head, and this is from having a podcast ad agency, and this is from having being in advertising my whole life. Like my head immediately goes towards who has the biggest funds that can help. And that's not really who's interested in helping us or Imrio or Black Podcast Association or BIPOC creators or whatever. Like we are much more interested in helping each other than iHeart and SiriusXM and anyone else would be in helping us. So like I had a conversation with Danielle from Women of Color Podcasters. I had a conversation quickly with Rita Batista from Latino Podcasters. And if you'll notice anywhere I've posted about the event since the beginning of time, Corey Gums from Black Podcasters is like, we're going to help you. We're support. I can't.
Corey Gums. He needs
Bless
his
him.
own award.
Bless him. I've never posted anything about this event without him being like, woohoo, in the comments. So, so I mean, those are the people I think that not only do we need to support each other, but I should have looked to my community from the beginning. I think my natural instinct is to schmooze with large companies and get them to know and like me/us, and then partner, because that's what you do when you're looking for advertisers. You want deep pockets. But I mean, this particular event started on the wrong foot just because it was an expensive venue. And we don't need that. Like hi, John, like as a group, as a community, expensive venues are nice and luxurious, but I don't know that we need that. We've never needed that in the past to connect and come together and have fun with each other. I thought it would be a nice to have, and I thought that by 2023 it would be affordable finally. But those were incorrect assumptions. So, okay. So Cheryl is asking, what is the future lining up to be? Are there any more details in the email yet? And what's your vision? Those are all amazing questions. So, let's start with the vision, because it's starting to become clearer. As I every day it becomes more clear. But so like I had mentioned, I started a 501c3 in March, again, thinking that it would help people sponsor us more easily, but perhaps that was not meant to be, because the 501c3 is filed. It is filed with the government. I have a tax ID. I have a letter of determination. I have a bank account. I have the whole thing. So it is ready immediately for funding, for donations, for funding, for grants, for all the things. And we have board members. We have Elsie as the president of the board, and we have Margie is the vice president, and Melissa, the secretary, and Danielle Corbett from Women of Color Podcasters as the treasurer. And these are all subject to move depending on, how we move forward. But my vision is this, that we start to add a board of all the community leaders that this charity is set up to serve. And right now that's marginalized voices. It is called the Empowered Voice Initiative. It is not focused on women alone. It is focused on all marginalized voices. So we can sorry, I just lost my thought for a second. Not protect, support. We can support all the communities that I just mentioned. And I would love for all those community leaders to be on the board of this charity, so we can together figure out A, how to get funding to the charity, and then B, how to distribute it amongst ourselves. What events does each one of us want to have? What education are we going to collaborate on together? How can we as a community serve the underrepresented members of that community as a whole? And I feel like, and I don't mean to bastardize the conversation or make it about something that I've created, but it is conveniently ready. And it would be great if it could, the Empowered Voice Initiative could be something that people support knowing and even choosing where the money is going to go. Because with a charity, there's no owner. There can be an executive director, but it's not owned by one person. And when you donate money to it, if the donation is earmarked for a certain group, like legally it has to go to that group. So if you, for example, were to give me $1 million, and you said it was only to go to Afros and Audio, then darn it, they would have $1 million to do with as they please. So that's my vision at the moment. And not to you guys to death, but I haven't talked to those. I mean, I've talked to a couple of those people, but not all of them. So my vision could drastically change depending on whether or not they think that's a terrible idea or a good idea. I have no idea. If it's a terrible idea and they don't want to collaborate, then I would use it, to privately fundraise and then privately support things that matter to us as an organization, as a board, as a community, ourselves. It is separate from She Podcast. It is not She Podcast. It's not owned by She Podcast. She Podcast is meant to be one of the organizations that it serves. So if we want to have She Podcast Live in the future, if we want to have a virtual summit, if we want to have retreats, if we want to have celebrities come and speak, it can facilitate that through funds that we raise. So I think that would be really cool. I've never had a nonprofit before. I've worked for one. It was a shit show, but it was like a local Jewish nonprofit. So they, I didn't do anything in the money part. So I have never filed taxes for one. It's a lot of things. I need someone to help me with the things. I'll probably find someone that's like a nonprofit expert or someone who has run them many times to help us with the things. And I'm sure many of you who are listening are that person, which is great. But the other thing I think that Elsie and I wanted to reiterate for now is that from now, May 22nd until June 19th, we are taking our exact event that we promised and putting it virtually in Hoover. And so this week, what we're doing is getting all the different speakers scheduled over those few days. So we don't want to start it too early. We can't end it too late because of East Coast. We don't want to start too early because of West Coast. So we're looking at like 11 to 5 with keynotes in the morning, possibly the afternoon. But over the days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we should be able to get 4 or 5 hours of content into each day, leaving you time to do the things that you need to do earlier or later in the day, but still being able to deliver the content that we promised, which is the most important thing. I don't necessarily need charity. I mean, we are going to be a charity, but I don't necessarily need like a collection to be created or for people to donate to something that will help me. I know that you just heard some of the, hardships that we have had to deal with. And that was my choice. I take responsibility for that. I don't expect to be bailed out for that. I don't expect to be saved from that. I made that decision every year, every day, every single time. And I'm not a martyr and I don't wear a cape. I just am a stubborn asshole who didn't want to admit it wasn't going to work. That's it. I'm not broke. I'm not destitute. I'm a CEO of a company that I thought would make revenue every year, and it didn't. It hasn't, except for the first year. So what I do like, though, and what has been happening a lot, Elsie, is like so many people have asked how they can help or offered to help in different ways or asked if we'd like to talk after the virtual event about how to collaborate and how to change things and how to make things better. And I just think I'm the most taken aback and not surprised. I guess that's not true. I'm the most grateful for that, though, because once again, this is the second time in my life where, something was happening to me that was beyond my control, and this community stepped in without questioning it and just said, where do I send money, or what can I do to help? Like, I feel like it's been hundreds of people, and I've never been more grateful for this community before, ever. I mean, ever. It's just been amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
I have I think that adding to something that I want to make sure people understand it, and I keep bringing this up to you, Jess,
mhm,
because I see it from a different. I see some of the things that you're talking about from a different perspective, and a little bit more from the operational perspective, like
yeah.
taking away all of the emotions and the feelings and everything that you've already disclosed, and all the, yummy feelings in your heart and all of that stuff. But
Yummy feeling.
we have a virtual event to put together. Jess and team have a virtual event to put together.
Mhm,
In all honesty, they need to have heads down to be able to do those things, put it out
mhm,
there, do the very best job that they can right now. And I understand that there's a lot of folks and that are having a lot of feelings, and we have seen a lot of people coming together with everything that not only has She Podcast put out there, but also Content is Queen and Imrel stuff, and
mhm,
all of those things that are happening with the cancellation of that event as well. So there is a lot of like bubbling up feelings. And usually what happens is, people get very like engaged and oh my God, oh my God. And then in the same way that happens with a lot of online things, it just loses steam and it goes away. So,
mhm,
what I'm asking for most people who have felt that feeling of like, how can we let this happen? Or I don't want this to happen again. Or how can we fix the problem? What you're going to have to do is something that many of us haven't done in a long time, which is sit tight, be patient, be ready, and come back to Jess in mid-July.
Well,
No, I'm not. I'm straight up saying this
I
because
know,
you're
but I
gonna
don't
work
want to
your ass off.
gatekeep.
No, no, I don't. What do you mean? Wait, just be quiet. Let me finish, please. You and the team are gonna work your asses off to be able to deliver something through that time. You need to have some time on your own to just not deal with all of the stuff. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to have to deal with operationally, being online, managing people, managing emails, making sure people show up, all of whatever's going to happen when it comes
Mhm,
to dealing with the event. Then you're going to need some time to just deal with whatever happens after, and yourself and the team to just pause. Then you can start the conversations with whatever it is or whoever it is that want to participate at that time. Unless they can be helpful right now, as in like they're
mhm.
donating their time to do something or giving money right now to do something. But other than that, it's just going to take your brain, especially your brain, Jess, away from what operationally needs to be happening to put an live event on. Like you can't be going off and creating the vision of what's coming next if you have something you got to deliver on. I know what that feels like for me. Like
It's
everything's,
true, but
you know,
I mean, that's true, but to some extent, I mean, everything that you just described is something that like staff will do. It's sort of my job as CEO to envision, and create the next steps as the current ones are happening. So I don't mind it a little bit, but she's right. Like the things, I mean, offering to help is amazing. And I'm keeping like a list of things that are being offered so that I can take advantage of them when I need to. Um, and some people have, well, I don't want to say, but some people have offered to like sweeten the pot for the things that we're offering in lieu of refunds for people if they would rather have X, Y, and Z other than a refund. See, the problem with refunds, and I'll just say it here, even though no one wants to hear it, is that they're going to take time. Um, I don't have, as I mentioned in the video, a big pot of ticket money. It goes to expenses as it comes in. So, like one woman wrote me and said, "You've had my money for a year." Well, most likely it went out within the 20 minutes it came in. Just saying. I've not had anyone's money for a year. It leaves when it comes in because, businesses are, I don't want to say expensive, but they have expenses. So, anyway. It would be best if we didn't have to get refunds. I understand why that's not a popular thing to say. And also, if you're angry hearing it, because maybe I would be angry. I don't tend to get angry about stuff like that, but that's just me. I understand why other people are angry. And you have every right to be if you're one of those people. I understand. It wasn't intentional. It certainly wasn't not from, it was certainly wasn't something that happened from being carefree and, for lack of a better word, irresponsible. It's simply from, like I said, just keep, thinking that it would come in a different way, and then it just didn't. That's all. So what else? So are there any more details than in the email? Yeah. So the details that are coming out will be how to get virtual tickets, how to help sell virtual tickets if you want to share that link, and then how to get tickets for the event in January. Like, if you have a ticket to this event, you already have a ticket to the virtual, to the new one in January, and to Podfest. So that's 3 events that you now have a ticket for simply by having a ticket to She Podcast Live, which I feel like is a miracle, really. It's a pretty good deal. But I forget where I was going with that. Yeah, but other people might want to join. So if you want to come in January and you're already going to be at Podfest, or if you want to come to the virtual, we're going to probably have tickets on sale the next couple days. So Sharon says, can you do an open call for community commitment in July, not just for cash, but for concepts to move the community forward outside the structures of the big boys that are proving time and time again they don't care? Interesting. A call for community commitment. I've been studying the nerd web designer that I am. I've been studying other nonprofit websites. And in doing so, I've learned a lot about how nonprofits do that, accomplish what you're suggesting, a call for concepts and commitment and things like that. There are pledges we can ask people to take. There are memberships or yearly donations we can ask people to make. There are other ways to get around not being supported by, quote, the big boys, unquote. I didn't even realize this the other day, but the other thing I noticed about those big boys is that they ate up all the little boys that were helping. They gobbled up and swallowed 3 or 4 of my sponsors that were very generous, like Wondery and Simplecast and Spreaker, and I forget who else was bought. Spreaker, Simplecast. There's a bunch though. There's a bunch that now are under the big 5. I think there's 5. I keep missing the 5th one. Amazon, Sirius, iHeart, Spotify, and help. Amazon, Sirius, Spotify, iHeart, and Amazon. What's the last one I'm missing? I know I'm missing one. Are there only 4? Audio Boom is a big one. Acast is a big one, but they haven't eaten anybody that was supporting us. Oh, Apple. Yeah. Apple they haven't really bought anything. They just don't do sponsorship in the traditional sense. So I believe that they want to offer content, which I'm perfectly happy to allow them to do. The big 4 in accounting. Yeah, totally. So I love that idea of moving people in a direction of remembering that they're committed, remembering what they're committed to. And that doesn't necessarily have to just be to us, but it's more than that. It's still about having events with too many white men, white people on panels. It's still about putting your monies, instead of the bigger places, but the places that need it the most. That's a big mental switch. That is a whole different. Go ahead.
I have to also add another layer to it, which is something that a lot of community leaders also don't really speak about. And yes, agreed with what you're saying, because it's just a systemic cultural shift that needs to happen collectively, not just in podcasting, but everywhere. Mm-hmm. But also there's another aspect of it, which is really this, and I know that it's especially coming up from a lot of folks who are just starting out or starting to build businesses around the the creation of communities, and the communities get very inspired by them. And then what ends up happening is we have cultivated a community or even a society that is very much lean back. So you get a lot of benefit from a lot of creators. You get a lot of benefit from a lot of people who are creating things to be consumed. And we have become complacent that they will always be there and we will just get those things. And so there is a friction between being asked to show up. And I agree with Sharon that there is this open call for community commitment. But when you start to manage people's commitment, it becomes yet another issue, because we all have, can you change it to a different time? I can't show up at that time. Hey, so-and-so did this. I was doing the thing and now I'm not doing it. Hey, I've been on the other side of things because I kind of live in a very progressive, very forward facing, very woke area of the entire United States, which is, I'm not even going to say it at this moment, but these people, everybody wants to change the world, but nobody's willing to show up all the time and do it. Or invest in it.
That reminds me of something else.
I don't want to do that. It's a little too late. People cancel all the time. I'm looking at it from the other perspective too. We have to inspire people to move forward, to do something, to engage. And we are not a society right now that's willing to do that for so many different reasons, even within our own communities. They just want the stuff and they want it the way they want it. And if it doesn't fit, they don't do it.
Yeah, it's true.
So
go ahead.
No, that's all I'm saying. It's like you can see it from the lack of ticket sales. And I'm not just talking for She Podcast. I'm saying the lack of ticket sales, period. The lack of people buying a course from somebody. We have so many creators are putting themselves out, trying to make a living, and nobody's willing to take that action to invest in it. And it's because I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's too much. And we have to address that. We have to address that within ourselves. We have to address, is there a non-scalable model, so to speak? Are we all, and I'm only using these numbers just because I'm just trying to easy numbers, right? Like, is what we do, like, let's say we're doing She Podcast Live, and is our sweet spot going to be to sell 100 tickets? And that's it. Like, it's never going to be more than 100. It's always going to, and that's enough. And that's it. And we're not looking to, like, the model, you just go like, I know I can always sell 100, but it's not going to get to something else. Or like, even when you're selling your courses, or services, I know that I sell 2 consulting clients every month. I know that I can do that, but that's not enough to live on. But at least now you know. Right. So I'm just saying that there is a lot of that. We have to look at our own communities and really see, what are they willing to invest in? What is their point? What is their point that they hit? Because we can't reimagine somebody else's behavior. We can't
I agree.
do that.
No, we can't.
Right. And what if they don't care about showing up live? What if it's just like a beautiful, like, a thought in their heads, but they're not willing to put their money where their mouth is? So if that's the case, straight up say it. We don't want a live event. We'd rather have this. Or maybe there is a community who's totally into it. Let's invest it in there, and let's us not do that. And again, I'm not talking just directly about She Podcast. I'm just saying, we have to be really clear about what our communities are willing to do and how we can also live a life where we get paid.
I mean, I don't think that they are interested in a live event like this, because if they were, they would be coming. So it wasn't a priority this time around, but it hasn't been a priority since the pandemic. So I'm not sure that it is anymore. That's okay if it's not. And I don't need like to send out a survey to figure that out. I mean, I just have to look at ticket sales to figure it out. Um, Oh, people are commenting. Hold on. Okay, so Alana says, I hate the idea in the industry right now where it's basically you have to have made it before you get help from big players. That's the same in book publishing, though. You have to have your own platform before they'll consider publishing your book from like a real publisher. That's why so many people self-publish, because you have to have already made it before they'll consider you. Jennifer says, we're all experiencing such a challenging time. I don't know anyone who hasn't been impacted by the slowdown. I'm hearing about folks who are feeling burned out at the constant grind with small return.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And this
It's
is
very hard.
it's all the way around. And then that's what I think, that's exactly what Jennifer's talking about, is what I'm calling out here. Because yes, there is the layer of the larger businesses. I get
Yeah.
that, of the big corporate folks. I get that. That's true. It's like I said before, it's a systemic issue that is really rough. But
Yeah.
also within ourselves, this is happening in smaller ways.
Absolutely.
So
okay, hold on. Let me go back to
Molly has
Molly.
something there. She has it up
Molly
there.
says it's entitlement. People will be angry the event doesn't include everyone 100%, but do nothing to contribute to creating that space. It's easy to judge what others aren't doing, especially when you're not doing anything to contribute. People want to be mad and want to be included, but don't offer the same in return. It's a very one-sided society. I mean, that's definitely true.
It's yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that to just to add a little bit also context to what Molly's saying as well, that I do feel that as creators, we each have a gift in what we do on the daily, meaning how we create money, how we make money, how we create our businesses, what it actually takes to put things out, all of those things. And every person has their own wisdom on how to do those things. And a lot of the time we come into it from the perspective of like, why didn't they just do insert whatever it was, right? It's this like, they should have done this. They could have done this. That worked for me. Well, there are other things that are layered into that, right? There are some folks who have had the experience that you have had for sure. Where there are times when we make mistakes as business owners. That is also true. But there's also a lot of time that you don't really understand the reality of a situation, the complexity of what it takes.
Almost
like what you
never.
were disclosing for especially for the conference stuff. Like people are like, why are they, there's so many, like, why aren't they paying speakers? Why are the tickets so expensive? Why can't we have, I don't know, breakfast? Like, I'm just coming up with stuff, but it's
there's
like,
lots of reasons.
Yeah. They don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Like,
I did have the suggestion of putting up, when I do put up what things what people can donate to, was it your suggestion, Elsie? Because a couple people have suggested it, of being very specific. So for example, a photographer's $4,000.
Oh yeah. That's what, I
put towards that. AV
Yeah.
is however many dollars, put towards that. Tickets are how, put towards that. Oh, but I wanted to address one other thing while we're on the subject, just before I forget, because I just had someone email me very unhappy that it's in Florida. So like, I mean, I saw that the NAACP issued a travel warning for Black people not to go to Florida. And I've already had some people express to me that, because they're gay or in a gay relationship, that it's not safe for them there. And I feel terrible about that. I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure if there's anything I can do about the fact that we've moved it to Florida, because again, I was given free conference space, and I already have someone, like I said in my email, accusing me of just doing it to save money.
Right.
When, like, I just chose it to save money. I didn't choose it. It was given to me by a friend who lives in Florida. Their event is every year in Florida. And I understand people don't feel safe and there's a travel ban. And perhaps between now and then, there's something I can do about that. But there's no but. I don't know what to say about whether or not you can come or don't come. I think you have to use your own discretion. I know that it was brought up on one of the social posts over the weekend, or in a chat, and there are women from Orlando that have stated that they have a very strong Black and LGBTQ community already in Orlando, that, they live there all the time, and not everyone can just move away when someone puts together a travel ban. So there is a community there. I'm sure, just like in Atlanta, the first year when people were unhappy with me going to Atlanta, that community still deserves to be supported and educated and seen and heard and visited. So um I don't think I'll change the venue because I didn't really choose it in the first place. But if that's a possibility, I'll have to let you guys know. I don't want to say no because, obviously I don't want participants to be unsafe, but I also haven't read enough to know whether or not that's like is that a statement that the NAACP did that? Or is there it's obviously a statement. It's a big statement to say Black people aren't safe in Florida. That's a very big statement. But, I don't know if it means it's not like COVID, I guess is what I'm saying, but it's probably still dangerous. But everywhere is dangerous right now too.
Well, I think that that's part of, first of all, I'm having some serious thoughts about the whole Florida situation myself.
I am
Just because
too. I'm
it
not
is no,
happy.
no, but no, hold
It's not
up. Let me
ideal.
finish. Let me finish first. Okay. Because I did, when I wrote my piece of what I put out there, a blog post that I wrote about a lot of the feelings that I was having. I had some of the most meaningful people to me in the podcasting space are Black women, and especially from the LGBTQ plus community.
I know.
And knowing that choosing a venue could possibly harm them and have them feel completely unsafe, and knowing the kind of news that are going out coming from Florida to basically make them like inhuman in some way, like just diminish them in such a I was just like, oh Jesus. But at the same time, there is a situation right now that you needed help with, and you had somebody who I truly respect, who one person who stepped the fuck up to bail you out and bail our community out, because he is just a kind soul and generous soul who just straight up said it. And there's two things happening at the same time that can be true. And so I sat there and I was like, gave me such frustration. So this is what I wrote on my piece.
Okay.
On my blog post. And this is what I said. I said, I'm disappointed that urgent solutions to crisis situations are a compromise among imperfect choices. And as much as the choice saves, it also harms. And the harm goes directly to those that are the most vulnerable. So I hear you, and I'm there. I get it. I have zero desire to have any of the folks that feel unsafe to attend She Podcast Live in Orlando, like at all. Like, I completely understand. I would never ask you to go to an event where you in any way, shape, or form feel less than supported, loved, safe, and protected, ever.
That's right.
So then I started to think, like, is there something we can, in lieu of it, as a way to represent that in some way, shape, or form? Can we call it out? Can we have programming around it? Can we just make something work within that scope where we challenge and we are able to bring information to the table, in some way honor those folks that are dear and near to me and to a lot of us, and honor them by them not being there and not require them to be there. So there's that aspect of it. So
there's no requirement ever.
Right.
Anyway, but it's really like, I don't know. Alana sent a quote from the statement that was made by the NAACP. It says, Therefore, we're advising African Americans and others that if you travel to Florida, beware that your life is not valued, that we have a political landscape that could cause harm as we prepare for 2024 elections to right size the political landscape in the state of Florida. I mean,
it's not wishy-washy.
it's
Let's
not
put it that
ideal,
way.
that's for
It's
sure.
not ideal at all. There, and again, two things can be true at once, right? Two things
Yes.
can be true at once. And part of it is that what I don't want folks to think is exactly what you were saying before, that you just did something because of you wanted to
Yeah.
save money. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want
I really
you guys,
resent that, actually.
it's like, it is one of those things where there needed to be choices made fast, and they needed to be done in a way that was, you don't have too many choices. It's either this or you do this. And we happen to have had, again, Chris Kremitzos, who stepped up and was there, right? Because he wants to be there and he wants to support. And guess what? He doesn't care what people are saying. He wanted to take care of Jess.
Yeah.
He was being a friend and a supporter and an ally.
Yeah.
So
yes,
we respect that. In no way does that also discount how choosing to go to Orlando can feel incredibly unsafe and harmful to people who are the most vulnerable. This is also true.
And of course, we don't want that. Of course, it's a problem.
Of course, it's a problem. And therefore, we have to settle into it and be as intentional and supportive of us and one another, and know that we will make different choices as we move forward, and be more considerate and really put this into view, and how can we help all of us move forward together? Because there was no easy, you know what, let's just do it. It will save so much money to do this.
I mean, look, the first year, as soon as I announced it was going to be in Atlanta, they banned abortion. Like within minutes, probably, of me announcing that, they banned abortion. And then in Arizona, I signed that before there was a pandemic. And then during the pandemic, the government and other people just refused to admit it even existed until it came there. And then they had a different story. But it still took me 5 months to convince the guy to let me postpone. So that's 5 months of a pandemic where I'm like, oh my God, they're going to make me pay this money. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then, and by the way, the hotel that we stayed in hosted a QAnon convention right before, like months before we got there. Surprise. So that wasn't ideal either. I was desperate to figure out how to hide that, but there's no reason to. But yeah, Arizona wasn't real popular. Washington was not popular and again, this is just a few people. It's a few people every time. It's too political. It feels weird. It's not a draw. No one wants to go there. And now Florida has been declared unsafe. Or it doesn't necessarily say that. What it says is we have a political landscape that can cause harm. Anyway, I'm not going to piddle over details. The point is, I cannot think of any place that wouldn't give me issue, because if it's too far north, the Southerners have problems. If it's too far west, it's got to be east. If it's too far east, it's got to be west. If it's too political, it's got to be less political. If it's too right, it's got to be left. If it's too left, it's got to be right. I cannot win when it comes to the venues and the cities. I have yet to win. Chris has it the same place every year. Why? He lives there.
Yeah.
And why do you think Podcast Movement's been in Dallas so many times? They live in the South.
Right. I think part of it, though, Jess,
everything we do for everyone, it has to be just like she said. It was a quick decision that was made out of total.
It was an urgent decision. You needed to make an urgent decision. You didn't have the space to be able to weigh different options, and also a lot of options weren't really there. There's sometimes you got to go in on a choice. You got to do it because it happens at this time. And I know that there have been many situations where, especially when it's in an urgent state and you don't have the resources around you, you take the next best choice, right? Not the ultimate or the optimal. And a lot of the time that takes a lot to be able to make those decisions. And unfortunately, where you were at that point, you couldn't really do that. So I understand that, but I also don't discount
No, I don't want to discount
anything else,
anyone's
right? So
feelings about it. It's
that's
just
all.
that
But
I can't make. It's just that with all things, event planners cannot make every problem their problem. And I'm starting to notice that that's who writes first.
right.
The
But here's
people who
I.
what?
Sorry, I'm not to mean to interrupt that, but like I think that the only thing that solves this problem, and it's something that I often speak of all the time, especially the folks that have worked with me for a long time, but it's really, what are your values and what is your mission statement? And then you stick by that. Because if you put X vision, X mission front and center, then the choices that you do are based on serving them. The end. Now,
Mhm.
and the clearer you get at doing that, because even as you were talking prior, like the vision's coming into my head, right? About the charity and all that stuff. Like, a lot of vision work or mission work, or where you're really truly wanting to put your stake on,
Mhm.
comes with time, and it comes with being able to feel it out and really go like, this is what I'm going to not budge about, right? And it's okay to shift it and have the value shift depending upon what matters, what you feel is important. And therefore you got to stick by that though, right? If it's like, if we're going to be supporting whatever, or like, let's say, making the She Podcast Live the most accessible in the sense of like the cheapest, right? Let's say tickets will never be more than $75. Let's say that's the
Mhm.
thing that you lead with. Then you make your choices around affordability the whole time,
Yeah.
right? So it anyway, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Even pricing is not that simple,
Right.
especially right now.
I'm just saying to you that if that's the thing, then
No,
you
but
make choices based around that. But I'm not saying that
no,
we're
but
going to do
let's
that.
be transparent for a second while we're on a roll, right? Okay, so we're offering a virtual event where people have paid $500 for an in-person ticket for VIP and around 300 for an in-person ticket for basic. And we're going to change that content and turn it into virtual. What do you price at? If you price at $49, how are those people going to feel
Right.
that they've already paid 3 and 500? If you
Right.
charge somewhere in the middle there, who can afford to do that for a virtual event? How can you make this copacetic for everyone? It's complicated. Nothing is as easy as it looks. Whatever the pricing is has to be fair, not only to the people who have already invested in the content, but the people who are going to invest in the content need to understand that, like, it's not worth just $49, regardless of whether or not, it's still 100 speakers. It's still 75 sessions. It's still an entire novel's worth of education. And it's still cheaper than if you were to hire any one of those people for an hour, which is something you pointed out to me, I think, right?
I did point it out to you. Yep.
Yeah. So, anyway, also, just to be transparent, like, people assume we're crazy, stupid, uninformed, uneducated, inexperienced, irresponsible, and thick-headed and blind. And I'm just going to tell you right now that while I've been called some of those things some of the time, I'm not any of those things all the time. Like, I'm not really any of those things. I'm not greedy. I'm not looking for a payout. I'm not being careless or incautious. I'm experienced. I have a lot of staff to help me. I have lots of support. If you want to email me with your specific thoughts or problem, that's fine. But just remember that we are not new and we know what we're doing. If you want to offer your help, first, do a little research to see whether or not we need that kind of help. Who does she already have on her staff? What, like, I don't know. I guess I just have been getting a lot of like, why would you do it this way? Don't you understand? Why would you do this? Don't you get it? Like, I fucking get it. Yes, we get it. I get that this is a problem. 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 I've thought of all the things and frankly blamed myself for most of it before I've even said anything about it. Okay. So I know, we get it. And I don't mean to be, whatever, abrasive, but I've also learned this week that oppositional defiance is something that stays with you long after you're a child. I've had a couple of people really feel strongly about telling me what to do. And for whatever reason, this particular week is not a good week to do that. So I'm just telling you right now. Even today, you guys saw at the beginning, or maybe you didn't. Elsie was like, you're going to do it this way. She was telling me how to give John the audio file of the fucking recording you just heard. And I was just like, why? Tell me why I need to do it that way. I can't just take an order without questioning it. I have to know. So anyway, I don't know. You can just fucking, just edit that whole thing out. I don't know what I'm saying.
But I mean, I think that most of us get what you're saying.
I think I'm just trying to say, have some fucking mercy, please.
Well, I think that there's also the other layer of what we were talking about before, Jess, like when you and I were talking about what it feels like or what I've seen come up where, and this is going to be a little bit on the gendered side. This is a little bit centering on humans that have, given birth. But when you first, have a little baby home, when you have a baby and you're at home and you're a new mama, everybody wants to know how they can help you. And a lot of the time it becomes a big, huge problem because everybody they want to help you so bad, but they create even more chaos around how to serve a new mom, right? Because basically a lot of the time when moms need something that I would have really, really appreciated was somebody cleaning my house when I was in the room breastfeeding my kid, to just be able to be with them. A night nurse would have been fantastic for me. My mom was actually there for me at night, and she was the most helpful at all, to just be able to be there and pick up my baby while I moved places around, right? I didn't need anybody to come over and see my kid. I didn't want anybody. Then I would have had to clean the house. There's all of these different things, right? You have to understand that even phone calls, like text, right? So those are such basic things that it's like, just text. I hope you're doing well. I'm thinking of lovely. You. Then I'm going to be on the phone for 30 minutes with Aunt whatever. Right. Talking about the kid, right? It's like, you got to know, you got to ask what is actually needed, instead of you thinking that you know exactly what they need. Because if you were to have sent anything to our house, we would have probably sent it back. We were like, no chlorine with the diapers. Yeah. We have to hand wash it.
Don't ever give Elsie
not
a gift
organic.
Unless she's picked it out.
Yeah.
Never give Elsie anything she hasn't picked out. That's the rule.
Exactly. So absolutely, that's like, and so because it wasn't helpful to our household.
I mean, look what people do when Emily died. You know that story. What happened the very first day after I announced that Emily died? She died on whatever day, a Wednesday, a Thursday or something. The next day, I had 7 rotisserie chickens on the counter. No one can eat that much chicken. Okay. Doesn't matter who comes over or who wants to pay their respects. Nobody needs 7 rotisserie chickens, but you don't ask, you just help. It's very helpful. It's lovely, but it left me so distracted by the chickens that it was just ridiculous. Honestly. Hi, nice to see you. Would you like some chicken? I'm so glad you came. How about a bite of chicken? It was ridiculous. So stop sending rotisserie chickens is, I think, our point. And don't send Elsie any gifts that she hasn't picked out ever. Or you can ask me. I know what she likes.
And at least you can send it. Yeah, but see, I think
that's the
that's
other
what
thing.
it is.
You want to help me? Ask Elsie.
I'm still.
If you want to help Elsie, ask me. We can help for each other.
We can help. We can, and also it's like,
yes,
oh yeah,
cancel
Rita.
the Boston. Good God, yes. Rita, never ever Boston Market.
It is such a challenge. I mean,
I'll
it
never
really.
eat it again.
It is so. It's. I think it's a lot more challenging, and we get it, and that's why I think I want you guys all to think about for like maybe pausing and letting us or whatever. Jess is going to create a little list, right, Jess? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah,
that's going to be available on Friday. Where if you do want to help, it's going to have like a little sort of like, here's what you can do list, right? These are things that you can do to help with a virtual event and or coming forward leading into Orlando. And she's going to tell you exactly what we were talking about before, which is like, hey, you know what? We already have a rotisserie chicken. We would like to have some Chinese food delivered on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that would be a different
meal train, you called it. A meal train.
A meal train. That's right. Everybody's going to have a meal train. You can choose what part of the meal train you want to be a part of. And then that way it would be helpful because it is challenging. I think even just trying to figure all this stuff out from our own team. Our own team is doing the organizational time. They need time and space. And
yeah, we need to figure out the virtual event, get that online, get that for sale. And then, one thing at a time, everything in time. But we are incredibly grateful for everyone who has reached out, who's texted and called and sent emails. I read every single one. And it's meant everything. The support has meant just everything to me. Because it very much feels like I don't know. It's very much like a death. It was like something that in fact, I don't know if you want to get into that today or even right now, but it's the second time in a row that I've worked years to trying to control a situation only to have it go way beyond my control and fail miserably. Like that's how I felt when my daughter passed too. I took 3 years and every single thing I could possibly think of to do without fail to control it, to kill it, not the habit, not the kid, to manipulate it, to force it to behave, to not enable the person, like same with the event. Like I can't think of anything else that I couldn't have done to prevent it from happening. And all of it is still beyond your control. And that's the second time. And it's been a year's lesson. But like, yeah, it's hurt. It sucks. It sucks to do everything you can and then fail, which by the way, I'm not used to doing. And now it's happened to me twice and I'm not happy about it. So that's just my own personal thing. Like what's going on in my head is like, I don't know. Maybe I should stop trying to control everything, I guess. I don't know. I like to, though, because then I know it's being done right. Maybe not. Is what whatever. I failed twice. So I guess I shouldn't be in control is really what Elsie's implying. And she's
hey, listen, I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying it's a lot.
But it's true. It's a lot. It's very triggering to have to admit that I couldn't fix it. And that is a common problem with me for the last 10 years. So I have someone here that says, give yourself grace. I'm trying, but have grace when you communicate with us too. And it's not just me. Like Melissa has made every decision with me. Melissa. She has worked all day long. She's worked every day. And I know people are checking on me, making sure I'm okay, but like nobody did more to help with this than Melissa Belfiore. And she's Melissa at shepodcast.com. If you want to, you guys who are speakers know how hard she works to get the speakers all sorry, Patrick just only to get the speakers all in order, in order to get everything organized. But she does so much more than that. Like she organizes everyone's tasks, what they're going to do that day. She makes sure my calendar, like she's like, I couldn't do anything without her. my defeat is also her defeat. So, maybe reach out to her a little bit too and tell her how much you appreciate her. I appreciate her more than anything. Um, she's done nothing but work her ass off for this event, and Margie too, actually. My sponsorship director, Margie. It feels like, again, like we tried everything and couldn't make it work. And that's like it feels like a failure, even though there's extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now Patrick is suggesting that I just make an OnlyFans account and sell. I said feet pictures, because anything else, I think people would pay me to put my clothes back on. My opinion. Like, no, don't, just we'll give you money. Here, let me send you.
Oh my God. Just put the
Anyway.
feet. Yeah. No, but
Yeah.
thank you. No, everybody on the
Yeah,
team
thank
is
you.
pretty
Oh, and
amazing.
Lana, you too. I can list the whole team. Amanda Krill does my design. Alana Bauman has been helping me with social and TikTok. Online Drea's team is our social media management team, and they've been amazing and working at the drop of a hat and changing things that I changed them. And Humble Hustle Studio, Chrisella and Shireen, they've been doing my advertising and helping with emails, and I have an amazing team. They all deserve undying love and support. So that's all I'm saying. And then I guess with that, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, we can wrap it up. Thank
So,
you, everybody, for being here. And then I hope that you listened to all this. If any of this was helpful, you can share the link of how to help She Podcasts. That's going to be in the show notes. So there is going to be a link right at the top of where you can help. Jess is going to put that out there.
Yep, it'll be there Friday.
That would be unbelievable for you to do that. And I hope that you guys stay subscribed, or if you're not subscribed or follow the show, continue following the show. We are going to publish our recorded 400th episode next week.
Yeah,
maybe we'll have a little day off, Jess, so that we can just, oh my God, you know what? It's perfect.
Memorial Day.
It's Memorial Day. Oh my God, we get a day off.
The pool's open. I'm gonna be tan. Pool's open. I'm gonna be tan. Yay!
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
So,
yes,
absolutely.
Happy Memorial Day, everyone. So yeah, we'll see you next time.
In the US.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Go to shepodcast.com. Find us at She Podcast on all the socials, and we'll see you next time. Love you.
Love you. Mean it.
Mean it. Bye.
Bye. I forgot my own line. I have like just one line.